Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, in today's video, we have the IS4, a tank we haven't really covered for a very long time. In fact, one of the last times I covered this tank, it was always buy this tank. You have to buy this tank. As a new beginner, as a beginner, this is a really good, or it used to be a really good first time tank. First time tier 10 for those newbies, because you can make mistakes. You know, it will teach you a few things. This tank will actually, even now, it's not as good as it once was, but it can still teach you a few things or two. So is the tank worth grinding? I used to always say play this over the IS7. Nowadays, because of all the changes, the IS7 is so much better, so far, like, so you know, just in every way, in almost every way anyway. But yeah, the IS4 is still worth grinding, but what does it bring to the table now? Like, what does it bring to tier 10? Not many people are playing it as much as they used to, and why? Why don't they play it as much as they used to? It is still a decent tank, but yeah, like I've said, it's not as good as it once was. People know how to deal with it. The armor profile isn't the best, and it's good for certain things. Of course, it's good for certain things. Like most tanks, they're good for certain things. But yeah, just this is far less superior now than the IS7. So the armor 238 on that turret. I mean, the turret is pretty strong still. There are some weaknesses, and the hull, to be fair, the upper plate is quite strong. The lower plate, however, is quite weak. And if someone switches to their premium rounds, then your whole upper plate, your whole front plate does become weak. 160 there on your hull. So the DPM 2637. So yeah, not the greatest of DPMs. Reload is just shy of 10 seconds. Penetration is 258 on your AP, 340 on your heat, and 68 on your HE. So you might want to run this with calibrated shells just to up that penetration. You got a 420 alpha on your AP, 360 on your heat, and 500 on your HE. Aim time is not great at 4.6. The gun dispersion is not great at 0.344. It only has 6 degrees of gun depression as well, with a top speed of 38 kilometers per hour. So yeah, overall, like, it can still perform. I'm not saying it can't perform. Of course, the IS4 can always perform in certain situations. It is not too bad at performing, to be fair. If you can go hold down and move your turret, then yeah, it does become a very strong tank. And if you side scrape, it does become a very strong tank as well. So yeah, I mean, it's still a good tank, in my opinion, for a new player. It is, because, like I said, it does teach you how to side scrape. It does teach you how to go hold down. And it does teach you how to sort of maybe to face hug and all that. So yeah, it does teach you a few things or two. But there's just so many heavies now in the game that are better than the IS4 in pretty much every single way. So we do get wrecked from the Jaegeru, I believe, and of course the Yo. So yeah, we're just going to push forward now. We have caught the base, and now we know that the enemy team are sort of around that A area. Yes, we do have 3 tanks, I think, the IS7, the Yo, and the Jaegeru this side of the map, but there are quite a few of us, so we are going to push forward to try to deal with deal with these guys along with this E100 here. So yeah, I would always, if you're in the open ground, then yeah, the tank doesn't perform well. So always make sure that you've got some form of cover, whether that is to side scrape or whether that is to go hold down. Always try to find that cover. Now, what I find with the tank now, it feels really slow. Maybe because I'm used to playing the IS7 a lot now. But yeah, the tank does feel so slow. It feels slow. The traverse feels slow. The track traverse feels slow. Even the turret traverse feels slow. Overall, it really does feel like a slow tank. And it doesn't feel like what it once was. Like, it used to be one of the best tier 10s in the game. Honestly, like, tournaments, people used to play it for tournaments. Go back on the Twister Cups and you always had IS4s. But nowadays, like, there's 60 TPs, there's Yos, there's the auto loaders. The IS7 now is performing and is actually a really, really good tank. You've got the Object 777. You've just got so many better tanks than the IS4. You've got heavies with more maneuverability. Like, you've got the STRVK, very fast tank. The IS7, which is a very fast tank. So yeah, in my opinion, like, there's not too many reasons to play the IS4. Like, yeah, you can still perform, as I've said, but you can perform in any tank. It just doesn't feel like it used to. It really doesn't feel like it used to. And maybe that is because power creep, maybe. Like I said, the IS7 got changed. The armor profile sort of got changed. And since then, it really has made the IS7 a better tank. Whereas this, it's not really been changed. It's just been left. And maybe it could be time to change the IS4 again. Because Wargaming have changed the IS4 like quite a few times. Back years ago, I think it had... I've got to get this the right way round. So it had good hull, very good front plate. No, did it have a... Yeah, I think it had a very good front plate, but weak sides. Wargaming sort of nerfed the front plate and gave the sides some armor. So because it was more of a brawling tank, they didn't want it to have... the front plate, they wanted it side scraping pretty much, so they sort of gave it more armor on the side so you could actually side scrape. But when they nerfed the front plates, they didn't really nerf it too much, so in the end you had a tank that could side scrape and a tank that can go hull down. So yeah, it made it just an all-round tank, and it was one of those tanks that you had to have in your garage. But nowadays, yeah, I can't, other than this footage, I honestly can't remember the last time I sat there and thought, you know what, I want to play the IS4. And it is a shame, because that is one of the tanks that you used to want to play in Tier 10. But yeah, there's just so many better tanks in Tier 10 now. And yeah, I would pick the IS7 all day long over this tank. Now, again, but as a new player, if you're a new player looking to sort your tier 10, your first tier 10 heavy, then I would still recommend this over the IS7. I would still recommend this because of the pike nose of the IS7. It does take a little getting used to playing, to be honest. I mean, look at this traverse. It just feels so slow. I don't know if it's always been like that, but it just feels so freaking slow. But yeah, the IS7 is a better tank overall. But for a new player, it does take a bit of getting used to. But as I've said, because of that pike nose, you've got to learn how to perform and how to play using that pike nose. Because again, if you angle your IS7, the armor becomes weak. And of course, you do have that lower plate as well. So overall, it is still a good tank. I just wouldn't say it's like it's missing now the wow factor. It's a decent tank, but it is still missing something. I don't know what it's missing, but it's missing something. I think Wargaming do eventually need to look at the IS4 and think, right, do we give it more speed? Do we give it more frontal armor? Do we give it more turret armor? I don't know how they sort it. I don't know if they ever will. But yeah, watch this space. We'll see if it does ever get changed. Now, let me know your thoughts. Do you think the IS4 has lost its touch? Do you think it's lost its touch and it does need changing in one way or another? I'd love to hear your opinions. So for now, I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm Meadsy, and I will catch you all very soon. Bye-bye.